Okay, so we're going to work our way through exercise C, questions 4 and 5. So question 4a. So if you've got the arc length there, okay, do you remember how to do that? It's the angle out of 360 times pi d. Your arc length is 5.6 pi, and your diameter, remember, is double that. So it's 5.6 doubled. So let's rearrange this. The 360 comes across as a multiply. And you see everything else over as a division, leaving you A. So it's 5.6 times 360 divided by, open your brackets, oops, pi times 5.6 times 2. So A is 57.3 degrees. I always like to check it. So 57.3 divided by 360 times pi times your diameter should give you an arc length of 5.6, which is right. Part B. So the arc length you've been given is your angle, which we don't know, out of 360 times pi d. Your length is 43.4 times pi. The diameter is double that. So 10.2 doubled is 20.4. So rearranging that, 43.4, this is the bit that comes up as multiplying because it's dividing on that side, divided by pi times 20.4 equals A. So on your calculators, 43.4 times 360 divided by, use the brackets for the bottom line, pi times 20.4, close off your wee brackets, giving you 244 degrees. Now I'm just going to check that works. So 244 degrees out of 360 times pi times the diameter gives me an arc length of 43.4. Part C. So the arc length is the angle out of 360 times pi times diameter. Your arc length there is 8.4 equals A over 360 times pi times, now your diameter is double that line, so 6.5 doubled is 13. Bring this across, it becomes a multiply. Bring your pi and your 13 over, it becomes a division, leaving you with A. So just taking you through the calculators again. 8.4 times 360, press your equals, divided by, on the bottom line, open up your brackets. So it's pi times 13, close your brackets, giving you A to be 74 degrees. And let's just check that. 74 out of 360 times pi times your diameter gives me an arc length of 8.4. Part D is a different one. It's got an area this time. So let's think about the area formula. So the area is the angle out of 360 times pi r squared. You're told the area is 8.2. So it's angle out of 360 times pi times, and this radius is 3.8 squared. So just take your time when you're rearranging this. 8.2 times 360. This whole bit is your division bit. So it's pi times 3.8 squared. So I'll take you through the calculator again. 8.2 times 360, press your equals, divided by, open bracket, pi times 3.8 squared, close your wee bracket, giving you an answer of 65 degrees. I like to check it, as you know at this stage. So 65 divided by 360 times pi times r squared does give me 8.2. Part E. So area is your degrees, which you don't know, out of 360 times pi r squared. Your area is 50 times pi times 7.3 squared. So bring this across, and it becomes a multiply, and this is your division. So it's pi times 7.3 squared. So again, 50 times 360, press your equals, divided by, open brackets for the bottom line, pi times 7.3 squared, close your brackets in the bottom line, So angle is 107.5 degrees. So I will check it. 107.5 divided by 360 times pi times r squared, because we're in the area, giving me 50 if you round it. Okay, and F, area, is your angle out of 360 times pi times r squared. So 15.6a over 360 times pi times 2, oops, sorry, I went off the page there, 2.9 squared. So this is your division on this side, so if you move it over here, it becomes a multiplication. All of this is multiplying, so when you bring it over, it all becomes a division. So 15.6 times 360, place your equals for the top line, divided by pi times 2.9 squared, closing your brackets, giving you 212.5, so 213 degrees. I will check that. 213 divided by 360, times it by pi, times it by r squared, which is 2.9 squared, giving you an answer of 15.6. Okay, number 5. Hopefully we're doing okay here. 5a, you've got the length. So how do you work out the length again? It's your angle over 360 pi d. You're told the length is 8.4. So just plug that in there. Now, your 360 is dividing, so when it comes across, it becomes a multiplying. And you see these two, they're multiplying. So when they come across, they both go on the bottom line for a wee division. So hopefully you're getting a bit more familiar with this. 8.4 times 360 divided by 45 times pi, and you bracket that bottom line. Give you a diameter of 21.39 or 21.4. So your radius is half that, so 10.7. Okay, I'll just double check it. 450 divided by 360 times pi times the diameter, giving me a length of 8.4. So it's correct. Part B, we're nearly there. Part B. The length is your degrees out of 360 times pi d. You're told that length is 16. So just plugging that in. This is your division, so it comes across to a multiplication over pi times 147 equals d. So in your calculators again, 16 times 360 divided by pi times 147. So I've got a diameter here of 12.47. So the radius is half of that, 6.24 centimetres. And again, I'm going to double check it. So it's 147 out of 360 times pi times the diameter, 12.47, giving me an answer of 16. Part C now. I think I have to get a new page for part C. So area is your degrees out of 360 times pi r squared. Sorry, it's not part C. Part C is still the length. So it's 170 over 360 times pi d for length, isn't it? So the length is 24.5. 170 over 360 times pi. Diameter I don't know. So this is dividing. Comes up to be a multiplying. Those two are multiplying on this side. So when you bring it over, they both become a division. So diameter equals 24.5 times 360 divided by 170 times pi, and you bracket that bottom line to give you a diameter of 16.5 centimetres. So the radius is half that, so 8.26 centimetres. I'm going to double check it. So it's 170 degrees out of 360, times it by pi, times it by the diameter, giving you a length of 24.5. And the last one is a wee area one, if I can just get it up here. So area of a circle is the pi r squared, but put your wee fraction in front. So you're told this area is 25 times pi times r squared. Okay, so 360 is dividing, so it will come across to be a multiplication. The 220 and the pi are both multiplying, so let's work that out. 25 times 360 divided by, remember to bracket the bottom line when you're using the calculator, and I get a r squared of 13. So remember, opposite of square is square root. So square root your answer on your calculator, 3.6 centimetres, and I will check that. So just going back to the question, it was 220 out of 360 times pi times r squared for radius. Gives me an area of 25 and it is rounded.